No, I don't. Maybe
Didn't I tell you that one?
tell me.
Well, we were quite a big party. We were threes, fours, fives, six, maximum sevens. But this particular party, there were about 30 of us, and the object of the exercise was to destroy as much as we could and really smash the place up of a German high command school which had opened in Le Touquet. Well, I don't know whether you know your French geography at all, but Le Touquet is a mass of tiny little inlets of, where the yachts and all that are moored, and very, very tricky terrain.
Hmm.
And of course we had all the maps, and with rehearsals used to rehearse these things like theatre rehearsals. We each had a job to do, and we had to get into this place as far as we could and time it right. And we timed it for evening dinner time. I'm sure I've told you this before.
Go on.
We timed it we knew that the Germans, higher ranking officers loved their ceremony and their high dinner and all that, and we knew that at evening dinner they'd all be sitting down lovely as they were, But we got rid of quite a lot of them, quite a lot of them. But we had a lot of our own blokes, and I nearly got caught there, and only a few of us got back. I'm not too sure how many I think it was about 7 or 8 of us got back out of the 30. But we didn't have to, we really smashed the place up. But, didn't win the war, did it?
Bit by bit, it did.
Well, I suppose it did, yeah. Of course we had, when we had no weapons when we came back from Dunkirk, and that raid I had a brand new American Thompson machine gun.
Your Tommy gun.
Yeah, Tommy gun.
So you said you nearly got caught. What happened?
Well, obviously, this place had security, obviously, and had guards, which we disposed of most of the guards before we got in there. But of course they had called up, they had alarms going off right, left and centre, and they had a platoon that had been on a German platoon that had been on standby for any such raids, because we were raiding along that French coast somewhere every night, almost every night. This was Churchill's idea, was to keep the German army on its toes, that they would never know where the next raid was going to be, And all these raids happened between Dunkirk and D-Day, which was a long time. Best part of 4 years, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And this platoon obviously were all come in and they were fully armed, and we had to more or less fight our way out. And say some of our blokes were injured, some were taken prisoner, of course. But fortunately, I was one of the few that got away. As my old chairman, when I used to work, always said to me, "You've got no worry, Stanley." I said, "Why not?" He said, "Only the good die young." And I think he was right, because I had a few escapes. I had 1 or 2 escapes on the way back to Dunkirk, because the German army had much more mobility than we had, and they were moving much faster than we were. And it was obvious that the British Expeditionary Force en bloc was making for the French coast. So of course the Germans were, on our heels, as it were, very, very nearly. and of course lots of our guys were unfortunately taken prisoners through exhaustion.
Hmm.
They weren't wounded, but they
Couldn't run.
just couldn't keep going, you know.
You always said that not smoking always helped you.
Well, I used to do a lot of track running, as you know, before the war.
Hmm.
Well, one of my boasts, if you like, is that I ran at White City, which was our main athletic venue of those days, and was never a smoker, and I used to do long distance running and cross country running and all that sort of stuff before I went in the army, and I think that all stood me in good stead.
Yeah.
You know, I managed to keep going, and when we did eventually, when we were evacuated from Dunkirk, not many of us still had our weapons. I still had my rifle and any other magazines and things that I still had mine. Although I'd been in the water a long time, and most of them were probably quite useless, but I brought them back, and but a lot of the guys didn't. They just were flung on the beach, you know.
Hmm.
But when you think of it, they took 330,000 of us off that beach, you know. It's quite a feat, isn't
It
it?
is. It is.